I've been following Jump guys the last few years. A lot of you probably would know that I'm a big fan of Arrow. The show has definitely had an up and down history, but it's a show that I really do love rewatching and come back to. It's a show I was definitely very late to the party on, but it's a show I'm very happy I got to finally watch it. And it's definitely an interesting history, so I think I might not do a couple of days talking about Arrow by one discussing the season finales of the show. It's probably not any particular reason why I do this. I just thought it'd be a fun video to do to rank all of the season finales of Arrow, ranking how great they are, how satisfying they are, and how impactful they end up being. And he was all saying, obviously, spoiler alert, just a heads up, I'm being to the detail of these months, I really can't without doing so. But hope you enjoy. Feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Guys, want to see more like this? Let me know what your thoughts on Arrow and these finales down in the comment section below. I am Sarah One Wilson Abduction, and here's my ranking of all 8 Arrow season finales. By a landslide, coming in number 8 is easily season 4. I think I've made it clear a few times on this channel that season 4 of Arrow is one of the worst seasons I've ever seen in any TV show. Just so boring and melodramatic, making Felicity feel like a bitch. The story elements don't make any sense, and the aspect doesn't really do much. It focuses a lot too much on the Alma and Felicity romance, and it ends up being so dreadful and has so many stuff that it's just not really having focus, not making any sense, and does weird stuff with these characters that don't really make much sense. And it kind of makes it rethink them in not a good way. And the finale is like, this is probably the worst season finale of any TV show I've ever seen, honestly, because it's pretty lackluster for a finale. The action hasn't really been the greatest in the season either, but this is just laughable and just them punching each other. There's no stakes, no part, no impact of anything that's going on. Like, a lot of things that should be emotional, impactful, and intense, it just feels whatever. And it just feels boring overall, and how it just ends is just, damn. Like, they will it's amazing that Arrow was able to come back from this dreadful season, because, yikes, season 4, yeah. Coming in number 7, we have season 3. Definitely a better finale for my season that's overall very mixed, but again, it has some issues that with my season 4. It's pretty boring, lackluster. The action is really not that interesting. Elements don't really make much sense here. Yeah, it's definitely a little more fun and a little more energetic than the previous finale I talked about, but still pretty boring, and doesn't the Ra's al Ghul was never really that interesting of a villain, and how all of it ends up taking him out is just okay, and the way it just ends is like all of this riding off into the sunset, thinking about heavy life, when you pretty much know they're probably going to, have to cut back and all that. It's just, yeah, that's really all I can really say. I'm not bad for anything, honestly. Definitely, my one's better than season 4, honestly. But my opinion, still not a good one. Coming in at number 6. Now, I pretty much like all of these finales coming forward. Just a heads up, I pretty much like all of these finales. So, coming in at number 6, we have season 7. It's honestly not too much I can really say about this one, honestly. The reason, it does have good emotional moments, especially with all the Felicity's technically last appearance of the season 8 finale, which I'll talk about later. And that stuff is actually pretty emotional and pretty touching, actually. And Felicity saying goodbye to her family is pretty emotional as well. It just, everything from the present is just typical Arrow. So, still a good finale overall. It's just, I just have fun emotional stuff. There's not really too much I can honestly really say about it. And number 5, season 5. A finale that has one of the most impactful moments ever originally had. An incredibly impactful moment. Basically, we see everyone going on the island to rescue everybody from Prometheus' wrath and everything, and when Prometheus decided to take all of his son William, and then we see Oliver had a team of Slayer, which is pretty awesome. You see Michael Merlin as well. We also get a pretty touching moment. Michael Merlin ends up actually this time sacrificing himself for Thea, which is pretty touching, actually. I don't know that it's a pretty touching moment, actually. I don't say it totally redeems Merlin, but at least Merlin went on more bank here, so I'll give it that. And of course, the thing with the whole island explosion is impactful and just amazing. I remember being so wowed by the finale. So why is it on the fire? Just the huge high up on these beautiful finales? No, the reason it's on fire because season 3 ended up fucking this up and just having a couple one character die and one being in coma. Had like a few more characters end up biting the dust. This actually would have definitely honestly been number 1 on this list, honestly, because it was that emotional when I first saw it. Like, oh my god, but and we course never do. They pretty much just undo that impact, so it ends up landing at number 5 on the list by still being a great moment. It's just the aftermath kind of affects it, and why it ends up landing at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have season 6. That was talking about season 6. Definitely is probably one of the most up and down seasons I've seen in any season television, because it does have some great moments, but it has some pretty questionable and terrible moments. Honestly, this show probably has a lot of the best and the worst elements of the show. But there's one thing that definitely is great about the season is definitely the finale. I mean, the fight, the whole balance between all the guys definitely isn't the most compelling thing ever, but the action is still great. The tension is definitely there. You get some really good banter, get some really powerful moments in the mix as well. Especially Oliver just talking to his team members one by one when he realizes that he's actually going, well, he end up turning himself in. And then over his team having immunity and everyone's be safe, which I think is actually pretty emotional, actually. Especially the whole hospital scene is fantastic. We've seen Sarah Lance return, see her dad, and see her hang around with the current Laurel in that universe, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then we end up seeing Quentin die, which off screen, which is something that I'm pretty sure none of us not much was surprised at. I'm sure some of us, honestly, I kind of probably expected that when this episode aired, but this time it still was emotional, and at least they didn't. At least they had him and Oliver had good moments, so at least they made stuff feel satisfying, at least. And of course, you got all the feelings of being an arrow and everything. Like, it's a pretty impactful finale. So, while season 6 as a whole definitely wasn't the greatest, the finale definitely was the highlight. Was one of the big highlights. And as I said, these next 3 finales were probably the toughest to rank because, like, honestly, number 2 could be number 1. This one things where top 3 could easily just swap each other because these 3 are probably some of the best finales to every TV show I've ever seen. So, it actually wasn't easy to rank these 3 finales. That's probably why this was actually to me because I went through this like a few weeks ago, but I still have a hard time thinking how to rank these 3 because honestly, this can't be number 1 honestly, and number 2 number 1. Like, it's not very hard. So these top three probably just ways of doing each other. So bear with me. So coming in number 3 on this list, and we have Arrow season. We have the season finale. We have the series finale. I had to talk about this one a couple times, especially in my Arrow review and my top 10 best TV series finales list I did a while back. Feel free to check that video. I'm very happy on the video. So I won't talk about too much about this finale here, but this is pretty much how satisfying as finale this show probably could be. It could be, it pretty much gives all the characters compelling endings. It gives a lot of the characters a lot what they needed to close off the arcs and their journeys throughout the entire show. Of course, we do end up bringing a lot of these characters back and from the multiverse stuff, but and it does a great job with honoring the character of all of Queen. You see a lot of different characters returning. It's a pretty emotionally impactful finale. On top of that, we're probably one of the best, biggest, phenomenal scenes in scenes in any show. Like, this reason I wanted to end up hyping this up, because this really is, and I mentioned they also have a little more insight on something that happens like early in the show, so it makes you dig them in a better way. It's definitely tiny little things that kind of bleed down the road, but definitely in a good way. So, yeah, I'm overall this also was a very satisfying Arrow finale, and a great ending, and one that was very impactful, badass, fun, and just emotional, especially with that final shot. Yeah. And now, before we get to my top 2, remember to feel free to hit that like and subscribe button if you guys want to see what's content, and then let me know how would you rank all these finales down in the comments down below, and let me know what are your thoughts on Arrow and this whole Arrowverse as a whole, and as a whole, and let me know overall your thoughts on this series as a whole. I would definitely love to know down in the comments down below. And let me know if you want to do a ranking on the season premieres of the show or any other Arrowverse related content that I'm sure I hopefully will be doing down the road. Anyways, coming in at number 2, we have Season 2. And the thing is that season 2 is actually probably my favorite season of the entire Arrowverse, so it's actually pretty surprising. Like, these top 2 finales are probably the best finales in the entire Arrowverse in general. So, again, that wasn't easy. Again, raise a difference here. But season 2 is still one way to end this season. Building all the great satisfying arc, went through the whole Oliver and Slade thing and everything, and the sea going crazy and everything. Yeah. Amazing fight sequences between Oliver and Slade, not just from the present, but in the past, which are choreographed very well and are actually pretty tense and impactful. And you get a little nice here and there along with stuff on Sarah and Laurel and any of the arcs they went through throughout the season. I mean, even Diego's on the do here where she's constantly just with Rory, and she basically feels like she can't trust him, and she has to go back, which doesn't feel like which definitely feels like something that Dio would do, and that's kind of surprising though. It's all around pretty impactful finale with some great action, fantastic choreography, emotional ending, and an overall satisfying conclusion, where the last one kind of ended on a defeat, this one ended on a victory. And it is truly a perfect way to end this amazing television season. And now for me, coming in at number 1 on this ranking is Arrow Season 1. Truly an incredible season of television. And one definitely isn't one of like a top tier season of Arrow. The Universe, but it's still easy to top 10. The finale is just like, I remember being like blown away by this finale. Again, a perfect way to really satisfy everything going on. You get Malcolm's or motivations of why he's doing what he's doing, makes you really think of everything he went through in a different way, but I mean in a good way. And the one thing, this season ended, like I said before, it ended in defeat, where Malcolm actually succeeded in what he was trying to accomplish. And this is something that still has lasting consequences throughout most of the remainder of the show. So it's something that just blows by or anything. This is something that actually has lasting consequences, which makes it even more impactful. I'm all the day might have defeated Malcolm, but Malcolm still succeeded in what he was trying to go for, in destroying the Glades, and he did. But I think the icing on the cake is pretty much what is probably my favorite moment in the entire Arrowverse, and Arrow, and that is the death of Tommy Merlin. Just everything. It's the death that I don't think anyone, myself included, probably saw coming. I mean, like maybe you probably saw it coming, but it's stuff that probably no one's expecting, and how it happened, how it was handled, and the emotion that went through this scene. It's truly impactful. This scene alone demonstrates Stephen Amell's amazing acting skills, and he displays that here with the scene. It should have been me. Please don't be. And the ending shot, like, I get emotional just thinking about it. So I think all that. I think all that means that's why Arrow season 1 and finale season 1 ends up becoming my favorite finale in the entire Arrowverse. And again, it has my favorite moment in the entire Arrow show. So yeah, I had to be season 1 number 1. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed me discussing all 8 seasons of Arrow. Again, let me know down below in the comment section, what are your thoughts on this season. Let me know, how would you like all 8 seasons down below in the comments. Let me know what other Arrowverse related content you want me to do down below in the comments. I am Samuel Wall from Samuel Productions. I will see you next time. As always, stay cool, everybody.